Looked on YouTube, found some videos, sent 3 or 4 off. This person goes, this won't work for me because this is a black girl in those videos. Can you send me a video with somebody else? Okay, we've all done it. You ask somebody for advice, they give you the perfect solution, and your immediate internal reaction isn't, thanks. It's, yeah, but you don't understand my situation. You weren't there. You're not looking for advice. You're looking for a cosigner of your excuses. Today we're talking about why your subconscious is terrified of the help you claim to want. Okay, so first and foremost, it's fear. At the end of the day, it's always going to be fear. Fear of leaving that routine. If I were to take your advice right now, that means I have to change something that I've already been doing for a while. And I don't want to deviate from my plans. I don't want to switch or jump on a different path. You, the viewer, think about where you sit at the dinner table, whether it's right now with your own created family or whether it's back at mom's and pop's house. Did you always sit in the same spot with your brothers and sisters? What about your husband or wife? Do you guys have this unassigned seat on the couch, the dinner table, or wherever it is that you eat your dinner? Most likely so. Most likely you sit on the same exact place and he or she also sits in the same exact place. Going back to your mom and dad's house. If your brothers or sisters ever sat in your seat, you guys are probably arguing about that. If not, everybody's at the same seat. Dad sits at the end, mom sits right over there, my 2 brothers and sisters sit over here, I sit over here. And so these current habits, or routines rather, kind of give us a false sense of security. And by kind of, it's a false sense of security that it gives us. But you know what? It's comfortable. And humans love being comfortable. Speaking of comfort, I'm sure we all have a pair of shoes that are pretty torn in, probably got a couple of holes, a couple of smudges, but they fit perfectly still. I know where my smudges are. I know where everything is, bumps and all. The obvious problem with that is you'll never grow. There's no personal growth, there's no self-development there. It's just you being taking in the information. So of course it goes in one ear and straight out the other. And I'm sure to some level of degree, you probably believe that you're protecting your peace. You're not. You're guarding your cage, the one that you put yourself in. I mean, just think about all the energy that you're wasting just to justify why you're not taking other people's advice. You have your friend's advice over here. You have maybe a brother, sister, mom or dad advice here. Even the experts. I've heard so many people over the years talk about their therapist and, oh, what does he know anyways? You explain to them the situation. They gave you advice, expert advice, I may add. Still, nothing. Why would you not take expert advice? And do you know what part of us fears this the most? Ego. Our ego will treat a genuine, simple transformation of circumstances into this ego death. It'll turn it into this existential crisis that you feel like you have to, crisis averted, and we have to opt out of any advice that we hear from anyone. You start to avoid people's conversations. You start to dismiss them entirely or just label them as intrusive. Because in the end, you want to avoid that vulnerability. Because once you become vulnerable, you'll have to look within and say, darn, I have shortcomings that I have to address. Maybe I should take your advice. But no, we have to build up that wall. Weirdly enough, we connect the fear of being coached with fear of losing one's identity. If I have to take advice and transform, well, then I'm losing a piece of who I am. And this version of me, who I am right now, I've been building up for years. I have a deep connection with this version of me, and why would I want to change that? Which is why it hurts so much when somebody tells you to fix your life. The second they're giving you advice, they're accidentally telling you that the way you've been doing it for 10 years is wrong. But people would rather stay failing instead of actually admitting that they're holding the map upside down. We tell ourselves we want an expert. And so we hire coaches and therapists. We buy the books. We listen to the master classes and podcasts. But the second you go to a Tony Robbins event and he picks out a specific habit that you've been doing for 10 years and says, oh, gee, that's the problem. Somewhere in your body, fear strikes. Why? You don't feel relieved. You feel attacked because it's not just a habit at this point. This is who you are. This is your character that he's pointing out as wrong. And so your brain treats it like a literal death threat, Which, going back to what I said earlier, that's why we start making these dismissive statements. Well, you don't even know the whole story. I only gave you bits and pieces, so what advice could I even take from you? You don't know the whole thing. You were not there. It's dismissive. It's like saying the teacher's out of touch instead of putting the focus on the students, who probably have a messed up foundation. That teacher has actually been teaching that same lesson plan for the past umpteenth years. And speaking of teens, I was like that once too. Having to admit that I was wrong during my teenage years sucked. It felt like a weakness. But hey, I'll cut you some slack. If you're a teenager right now, I was probably like you at one point too. Changing myself or admitting I was wrong, although I would do it, it felt like a weakness. I've never had a problem saying sorry or my bad, but it definitely felt like a weakness at one point. If you're an adult right now, you're probably feeling the same thing. Now, I said something earlier that I want to delve into as well. I said, you don't want to change this version of you that you spent so many years perfecting. Let's also bring back at the beginning where I said it's fear. This is where another fear comes from. I don't know what the new change is going to be. I just know that if I change this version of me right now, I'm scared of who the next version of me looks like. Me 2.0 is probably not as cool as me 1.0. I mean, you spent years perfecting yourself, so this version of you is not going to want to get changed. You probably polished all of your excuses and reasons as to why things didn't work out for you in the past. Oh, especially that self-image, that personality that you built around your struggles that you're so proud of. Speaking of those struggles, what if a coach or somebody actually helps you with those struggles? What does that new version of you look like? That's where the real fear is. You're not scared of the advice failing. You're terrified of the advice actually working, because now you can't walk around with that set of armor that you've been walking around with. Moving along, you use critical thinking as a mask to procrastinate and to avoid all the hard work. Is that too textbook for you? Try this. Because nobody wants to admit that they're lazy or scared of change, they're going to dress up their fear in a suit and tie and call it critical thinking. We all know this guy. Maybe you're this guy. Somebody gives you a solution. It's been proven. It works for everybody else and thousands of other lives. But your first instinct isn't to try it, is it? It's to find out one reason why it won't specifically work for you. Yeah, that financial plan sounds great, but did you account for the inflation that's been going on right now? Dude, that workout is cool, but because I have an asymmetrical toe, like my biomechanics are kind of off, so I'm gonna need a different workout than that one. That one's not gonna work for me. Just stop it. Stop it. You're not being an intellectual. You're being an escape artist. Aside from those two jokes that I just said that are clearly outrageous, here's something that actually happened in real life. Somebody who I was training with told me, hey, I need a good workout routine. Can you send me something? Looked on YouTube, found some videos, sent 3 or 4 off. This person goes, this won't work for me because this is a black girl in those videos. Can you send me a video with somebody else? Mind you, never even opened up the routine, never even gave it a chance. Because again, these escape artists, they look for that one flaw to completely dismiss it. And rightfully so. Because if the advice is wrong, you're off the hook. And you also don't have to put in the work. Because clearly, since it's flawed, it's not going to work for you. You can keep on being comfortable now. This is that same feedback loop from hell that just puts you right into stagnation. You'll never grow up that way. And it boggles the mind. It's annoying. People would rather spend about 3 hours researching why squats are ineffective or why squats may lead to injury instead of just doing 10 to 15 squats right now. And let's not forget about the most important one that we all try to dodge accountability with: religious disqualifications. There are people living out here right now trying to disqualify your advice because you're not of their faith. It could be solid advice. You can be a therapist that has 10 plus years under your belt. But if you're not of my faith, well, then you're secular and I can't listen to secular people. You're an unbeliever. You're a non-believer. And so, once again, I found the escape. And because they're now disqualified, it leads to your critical thinking one more time, your skepticism. When people use skepticism, they use it as a tool to find the truth. But when you use it, it's to debunk every hand that's ever reached out to help you. So yeah, you can call out skepticism. All that is just a very articulate way of you saying you don't want to change. Now, is he saying to just go ahead and take everybody's advice every single time somebody gives it to me? No, of course not. That's where your discernment comes in. But is it discernment or is it ego? That's for you to decide. I would take advice the same way you probably do research. You Google have like 15 tabs open. What's the common denominator? Same thing for advice. Ask around. I'm sure you have multiple friends. Ask different friends. Ask family. Get everybody's opinion and see what the common denominator is. And if it shows you something that you probably do have to change, I would take that advice. Now look, I get it. Admitting to yourself that you're using logic as a shield is probably a tough pill to swallow. It likely means you're probably holding yourself hostage for the past 6 months. Or the past 6 years. But here's the flip side to that. That's probably the most empowering thing right now for you, is coming to that realization. Guess what? You're the one holding the shield and guarding yourself. You're the one who can actually put down that shield. And please, you have to stop treating everybody's advice like an indictment of your character. When somebody tells you a better way of doing something, they're not calling you stupid. They're giving you a shortcut. Why would you be mad at somebody who's giving you the answers to the test? I got a challenge for you. The very next time you think of saying, yeah, but, or the next time you go to Google why something won't work, pause. Ask yourself, am I protecting my personal growth? Or am I protecting my comfort again? Bottom line, growth is messy. It's supposed to be. Because it's going to require you to be wrong for a little bit. And that's okay. It requires you to be wrong just so you can be right. Eventually, you can be better. Stop being the smartest person in the room of your own failures. Put down that shield. No one's going to hurt you. Take the advice. And if this video hit close to home, good. Like, subscribe, all that other jazz. Write down in the comments what's one piece of advice that you're finally willing to try now. I'm out.